So this evening, before I settle down for bed, I wanted to just come and share a little bit about grief. I wanted to speak about what it's really taught me, how it's changed me, and some of the things that people don't speak about. And so, for those of you that maybe don't know, I lost my baby girl. So we birthed her in 2022, coming up to 4 years next month. And it, without a doubt, has been the hardest thing that I've ever gone through. And I've gone through a miscarriage previously, but going through a whole pregnancy, going through a birth, bringing your daughter into this world, and then her being stillborn is one of the most unimaginable things that a mother can experience. And for me, I've always wanted children for as long as I can remember. My goal when I was a child was to be a mum, and I've just always loved children and babies. I've worked in nurseries, nannying, worked in a neonatal unit. I've done so much to support other people and their children. And it's something that I'm definitely still adjusting to. Nearly 4 years later, and I've definitely done a lot of work. I've got a good support circle around me that gives me the space and the opportunity to speak about Eetha and share her story and share how I'm feeling. But grief is something that we're all going to experience in life in some form or another. We will all experience grief. We will all experience loss. That could physically be a person, that could be an animal, that could be an old identity, an old life. There are so many areas that grief can come up, but we will all experience it at some point. And one of the biggest things that I've realized is how little people can actually speak about death and loss, especially when it comes to a child. Of course, I know it's not a nice topic. It's not something nice to think about. I've been on a neonatal unit, babies have passed, and it is heartbreaking that, like, when a newborn baby comes into the world, like, their life here on earth is just beginning, and them passing and not making it to experience their life like we do is really, really difficult. But speaking about it, especially for me, helps so much. Eetha was such a big part of my life, and she still is. She is still here with me. I have photos of her everywhere. I've got photos up there. I have her ashes. Like, she is physically to look at all around. Spiritually, energetically, I feel her. She is here. Her presence is in the Eetha. Funny name that matched her and really what she was here on earth to do. And I've had so many conversations where people, you can tell they feel uncomfortable. They don't want to hear you speak about it. They say things like, you'll be okay, or don't share that photo of her. You don't need to share your story. And it blows my mind. One of the things that has been biggest for me was actually last year for her 3rd birthday, I put a video up on Instagram and on TikTok, and they both went incredibly viral. And because of the way we chose to birth outside of the system, because the year before we went through a miscarriage and I was left to nearly die through the negligence of the staff. And so I made the very informed decision with a lot of support around me to not birth in a hospital, to do my scan privately, and to not have that support, because I knew that this time round that wasn't what I wanted to put myself through. And so a lot of these comments from people online telling me that I'm a murderer, I killed my baby, that I don't deserve to live, that I don't deserve to be a mum, that she deserves someone so much better, that it's good that she didn't make it if they're the choices that I make for my child. Just so much like, as a human being, how those words can come through your fingertips to type to someone you don't know their story, you don't know their experience, and those words can come out of you, they can come through you. No questions, no curiosity, just complete judgment. And of course, I'm now at this place where I'm like, if you put yourself out there on social media, you have to be prepared for what's going to come back. There's no doubt about it. People are fucking insane. They are insane, disgusting, inhumane. That's what some of the population, unfortunately, is like. But when you just like, it still even gets me now. Like, if people actually witnessed what my pregnancy was like, how every single day I was reading everything I could, I was researching, I was connecting to Eetha, I was fueling and nourishing my body. I was doing everything possible to ensure I was in the best state physically, mentally, and emotionally to be able to bring my baby girl into this world in the safest way possible. But they don't know any of that, because they only see a snippet of what they see from what you post online. And when a mother is going through the deepest parts of grief and she is met by strangers speaking and typing things like that, is just, it's horrific. It's really horrific. And, you know, I had it from family members as well. People that were supposed to be blood family and there for me throughout anything. They couldn't understand my choices, and a lot of projection, a lot of hate, a lot of just zero support, because they didn't understand what we chose to do. It all comes with it. And then when you're going through the depths of grief as well. So that's been a massive thing, is it doesn't matter what you're going through. Other people go through their experience, whether they know your story or not, whether they know you or not, and they will project onto you. So having people around me that are able to just listen to me speak about her, listen to the stories that I dream or I witness with her or I imagine or whatever that might be, is so important, because I am keeping her name and her spirit alive. She may not be here physically, but she is here. She's with me, and she has created me into the woman that I am today, into the mother that I am today. And I do deeply wish that there was more spoken about death and grief, so that people were able to speak about it. I do know that before Eetha passed and we had that experience with her, I used to be very fearful of death. I used to really struggle to speak about it, and I have such a different relationship now. Of course, if I think about certain people closest to me and think about them no longer being here, it's not going to feel nice. That doesn't mean that I look forward to that happening, but what it means is I have this peace that there is so much more than this existence that we are experiencing right now. Here in these physical bodies, this is what we're experiencing. But what else is there? I have a relationship with Eetha. I connect with Eetha regularly, just not in the way that I imagined it would be. So it's shown to me so deeply that there is more. No, I can't tell you what that is, because that is so unique to every individual and their relationships from my perspective. But there is more than what we are experiencing here in these physical bodies. And it's given me that peace that even after our physical bodies are no longer here and we go, our spirit is still here. We still live on through energy, through spirit, through our soul. And that's been such a big takeaway since losing Eetha, because it can be scary, the thought of like, what happens when you die? And I can't tell you that. I don't know. I'm here. But what I do know is there is more. And that's something really big that I've taken since losing my baby. And I think a really big part when you lose your baby is you are a certain type of soul, woman, human being beforehand. You conceive, your baby starts growing and developing inside of you. That completely changes you. It changes your DNA. And when you then birth your baby, you're not the same. You can't be the same. Stepping into that role as a mother and how your priorities change, your intuition's different, your goals, your vision, your desires, everything changes. And so I feel I was a woman before who was carefree. It was like just me. Like, yes, I had people around me and Charlie and things like that, but it was just me. And I went through this process of creating a life with my baby. She grew inside me for nearly 42 weeks. And all of the things that we spoke to her about, at the time we used to go and visit some cows where we lived, and I would speak to her about the cows. And even when she was born and she wasn't breathing, and I wrapped her in a towel, and I remember speaking to her and saying, like, we're going to go and see the cows. We're going to go for a walk to see the cows, because it was something that was so big throughout my pregnancy that we would go over to the fields, be barefoot, be around the cows. And it's like I had this life and this experience with her growing inside me, where every inch of my body physically and emotionally was changing and creating this new life for when she birthed into this physical experience. And then she did. But then it didn't continue. And then I was left at this point of, what is my life supposed to be now? I've had a baby, but my baby's not here. And I've got milk coming through. I've been through labour for 65 hours. I've held my baby in my arms. I've been ventilated in intensive care. And now I'm lying here and my baby's not here. I now am expected to just continue my life without my baby. I now have to plan my baby's funeral, choose her outfit, choose the music, choose the poems and the stories. Like, that wasn't my plan as a mother. That wasn't my vision as a mother. I have to be picked up in, yes, a beautiful limousine type car, but the first car ride I get to go in with my baby is her in her coffin. And I remember that door opening and seeing that tiny, beautiful little white coffin and just breaking down. I had Charlie with me and I had my beautiful, beautiful soul sister, Sarah. And I just remember breaking down. I was on a crutch. I couldn't walk. I had nerve damage. There was so much happening. And that wasn't the plan. That wasn't what was supposed to happen. No mother envisions that when they conceive and they go through pregnancy and they go through labour and everything is perfect. Let me tell you, I felt so perfect. I felt great. Up until a couple of weeks before, I was still going on hours and hours of walk every single day. I felt so good in my body. Apart from a bit of backache, I felt amazing. And I even still feel it now that I was one woman before I gave birth, another woman during my pregnancy, another woman after giving birth, and now I'm another woman. And it's like, I still don't know exactly who I am, because I had such deep visions for what my life was going to be and my cravings for procreating and having babies and having a big family. And after going through a miscarriage, after going through a stillbirth, it completely changes your, one, trust in your body. I also went through massive blood loss both times. The second time I lost 4.5 litres of blood, and being ventilated in intensive care, really not knowing if, obviously I wasn't aware, but it was very touch and go of if I was going to even make it. So it puts you in that situation of like, do I go through that again? But could I envision not having children throughout my life? It completely changes you. Like, I think no matter how much I describe it, no matter how much I speak about it, no matter how much I share my story, it won't be fully received by anyone unless they've experienced it themselves. Because a mother's bond and connection to their child is something so unique that can only be experienced when you physically experience it. I had an idea previously, I'd been around a lot of babies, been around a lot of pregnant women, been around a lot of births, done all of that, but actually experiencing it yourself, physically, inside, at a cellular level, DNA changing level, it's something that is just so unexplainable.